What's up, Sam? What is going on? We're feeling okay. I'm sure you can hear it in the voice. We're still fighting it a little bit, so I don't know if we'll go the full hour that we normally do, but we're feeling okay. Hope everyone's having a great start to their today Thursday. Hope everyone's having a great start to their Thursday. We'll get started here in a little bit. We'll get everybody filing in here, do a little pre-show shenanigans, and then we can go from there. But yeah, I'm just getting everything set up here on my end to get started. So in the meantime, you guys got any pre-show questions you want to get answered? Go ahead and put those in there. What's up, Tuttle? Good morning to you as well. Like I said, I hope everyone's having a great start to their Thursday. We love pre-show shenanigans. My guy Colin, what's up? Always got to have some pre-show shenanigans. What's up, Braden? What's up, everybody? Baltimore and Arizona, the topic of conversation today. Colin, appreciate you liking, appreciate you sharing. Greatly appreciate everybody doing that. Really helps us out. But yeah, Baltimore and Arizona, the topic of conversation today, and we'll see where we go with this. I have thoughts, obviously, on both franchises, but we shall see. Sports stuff. Does Miami officially have a 3-year win window now that Hill announced he's retiring after 2025? Sports Nut, you're kind of melted my brain here a little bit because I didn't know this was a thing. I slept in a little bit today, as you can hear in the voice. We're not doing all that great from a voice perspective, but we're going to push through and hang out with you guys. I didn't see this, so I'm doing some research here before the show. Did he really say this? I feel like this would be a bigger deal if he said this. Did we see the Panthers announcing new uniforms and then having to say, no, it's not really that big of a change. We're not really changing that much? It was very weird yesterday. I did see that, though. Is this one of those things that, like Tyreek said on, social? You put it in a Discord. He did. What's up, Sean? He did. He did say this? Look at this. I see the tweet now. I'm going to finish out this contract with the Dolphins, and then I'm going to call it quits. Wow. I mean, I can't blame the guy. Does it put Miami in a 3-year win-now window? I don't think so. Sports Nut. I mean, obviously Tyreek Hill's a difference maker for them, but, I think they're... I mean, if Mike McDaniel can continue to get this level of play out of Tua and this level of production out of Tua, and Tua can stay healthy, I think they'll be relatively okay. How do the Cardinals find new ways for us to question their franchise? Tuttle, we will get to that. I will. Everyone's here now, right? I mean, we got some people in here. We'll transition to the full screen here. Good morning, everybody. Hello. Hope everyone's having a great start to their Thursday. We are repping one of our favorite events of the year today on the show, the Reese's Senior Bowl. Shout out to my guy Jim Nagy. We've got our trusty, not sponsored, but probably one of my favorite cups. We've got the Stanley Cup here with the water in it, getting those fluids for the day. And we're just gonna hang out here. We'll do what we do every day. Again, this is a very casual environment. I know Sean and Colin, I don't know if you've been able to catch any of the other ones, but I know you guys are live stream regulars from the past. But we just hang out here. We have a good time. We record TDN Daily in here, and then we do a post show. So I do sign off during this live stream, but that's just signing off for the podcast listeners and the podcast feed, and then we hang out in here and we banter back and forth, and we answer a bunch of questions, and we have a great conversation. So, like I said, if you could thumbs up the video, if you could share the video, if you could subscribe to the Draft Network YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, that'd be great, and if you could turn on the notification bell, that would be awesome. Sports Nut, I see your question. We will file that away into the conversation when we talk about the Arizona Cardinals, okay? But I do see it there, and we will discuss all of that when we talk about the Arizona Cardinals. It's also a very great day. I don't know if there's any other big golf fans out there, but we got the Masters going on. I'll let you in on a little secret. On the other screen over here, normally it's got one of my 4 favorite websites. I've got the Masters featured group on, watching a little Tiger Woods play right now here on the other side of the screen. And my guy, Victor Hovland, right now tied atop the leaderboard through 2 holes. Had a nice eagle on the second. So we're keeping an eye on that as well. Chances Baltimore Ravens draft a quarterback. Atheist for the cause. We were going to talk about that because that was kind of the thing, their pre-draft press conference yesterday that kind of got everything started. So we will get to that as well. But all right, you guys are starting to pile in questions about the actual show topic. So I'll press this big record button here so that it records on my end, and then we can get started. And welcome into the Thursday edition of the TDN Daily podcast. Chris Schubert back with you here once again on the show. Hope everyone is having a great start to their Thursday. Apologies for no show yesterday. Could probably hear it a little bit in the voice. Not really cooperating. We're kind of getting over something here, but I wanted to push through and give you a show here on a Thursday. And we've got 2 big franchises to talk about here on the show. The Baltimore Ravens and the Arizona Cardinals in the news, and not necessarily for good things. So shout out to everybody in the podcast feed listening to this. Shout out to everybody watching on the YouTube feed. Maybe a bit of a shorter show today. We'll see how much the voice holds up. We'll see how much the voice can stay with us here, but we've got our trusty water bottle here to give us some fluids throughout the show. So we'll start with the Baltimore Ravens, and we've already got some questions in the live chat that we will weave in here as we go through this conversation. But the Baltimore Ravens made news yesterday because they had their pre-draft press conference, and this is kind of a standard operating procedure for teams all across the National Football League. They have these pre-draft press conferences. It allows, it's another media availability opportunity for members of the press to ask questions, not only about the draft, but they'll ask questions on contract extensions. They'll ask questions on coaching, all that kind of stuff. I would imagine to tie in a topic from earlier in the week when the pre-draft press conferences happen for the Chargers, for the Eagles, for the Bengals. There will be questions asked by members of the media if they have an update on where everything is in regards to contract extensions for the 3 quarterbacks, right? You have that opportunity in a media setting. You ask those questions. Well, it got a little, I don't want to say off the rails yesterday, but it got to a point where the Ravens PR stepped in at the Ravens pre-draft press conference and told the media to stop asking questions about Lamar Jackson and to only ask questions about the draft. Now, again, this is one of the biggest stories in the National Football League. The starting quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens does not want to be there, has requested a trade a month ago, March 2nd, the non-exclusive franchise tag was placed on him. He has not signed that tag, and he is just sitting out there. Nobody appears interested in signing him. No one appears interested in talking to him. And you have Baltimore that doesn't appear that they're close on a contract extension. So you bet if I'm a member of the media and I'm in that setting, in that environment, and the draft is coming up, and if Lamar's playing someplace else, it absolutely affects what they do in the draft. You bet I would be asking those questions in the press conference. And Braid mentions that he just couldn't stop laughing at the look on Harbaugh and DeCosta's face when the PR guy stepped in. Listen, the PR guy is there, or the PR person, in this case PR guy, but you have PR guy, PR gal. That person's role is to step in certain circumstances, right? They'll obviously step in with this will be the last question. That's fair game, right? You're wrapping up a press conference. That person steps in and says, the last question is, Tom Smith from the Daily News, right? I mean, that we're going to give the last question to Tom, or that's how it goes, right? The PR person very rarely should ever step in a situation like this and have to do something like this, because Harbaugh and DeCosta, they're pros. They're seasoned veterans. They should be able to answer these questions, even if they just keep coming and they just keep coming and they just keep coming. And all these questions are about Lamar. They should be able to handle them. And they've handled them in the past. I think Harbaugh's handled this perfectly. He has talked about his love for Lamar. He's talked about his expectation for Lamar to be on the team this season. So it's not like these questions are coming out of left field. He just answered them, a couple of weeks ago? And imagine, this was a prepared event. This is a prepared, scheduled, pre-draft press conference. At the owners' meetings a couple of weeks ago, while Harbaugh was talking, Lamar dropped the news that he requested a trade. Harbaugh was not prepared from a media person or a PR person about what that was going to look like, yet he handled it perfectly. He handled it with class. He handled it with what you would expect out of a head coach in that spot. So I don't understand why they need to step in. Again, it just goes to show you how weird this situation is, how maybe far apart they are in this situation. I'm now throwing my pen in excitement here with how much we're talking about this. But you have a situation where this is a big story, and it's going to be a topic of conversation until there's a resolution. Do you think by the PR person doing this today, it's going to make the questions stop about Lamar Jackson? You think they're just going to stop asking them? No, it's going to continue to come up until he signs the tag. And it doesn't feel like he's going to sign the tag between now and the draft. And again, we talked about this when we had this conversation. If he doesn't sign the tag before the draft, it opens up a whole host of new teams that could potentially jump into the race, jump into the mix for Lamar post-draft. And so I'll weave in some of the questions from the chat here. As Atheist for the Cause said, chances the Baltimore Ravens draft a quarterback. You know, it's an interesting question. We were doing a TDM film study with the TDN Premium members. Anybody in here remember the TDN Premium Discord? You can kind of give me a cheap plug for how great it is to hang out the TDN Premium Discord, get the film studies, have the happy hour, access to us at all times where we answer a bunch of your questions. We have live impromptu shows in there sometimes. But we were in there doing a film study of Hendon Hooker, and we were talking about the Ravens potentially drafting a quarterback. We were talking about, there was a mock draft that recently came out from Lance Zerlin from NFL.com, and he had the Baltimore Ravens trading up with the Indianapolis Colts. And the struggles I have with that are, they wouldn't do that. They're not going to trade up and draft a quarterback or stay in their current spot and draft a quarterback unless they have a resolution and finale to the Lamar Jackson situation, right? And so if he's not going to sign the exclusive tag and they haven't agreed to a trade to send him someplace else just yet, I don't know how you can walk in there and waste a pick on a quarterback when there's a chance he could come back. I know he's requested a trade and it doesn't feel likely, but guess what? It takes two to tango. And so you need another team that's willing to give the contract and the two firsts up in the current parameters. But they could rescind the tag and work out a trade, but it can't be for more. I don't believe it can be for more than what the tag is. So it's just a really, really awkward situation. Sportsnut says the Ravens trade up for Richardson. They know they'll recoup those picks via trading Lamar. Yes, but not this year. And so if you do that, if you trade up and get Richardson, and then later on down the road you trade Lamar, you're basically forfeiting 2023 in a lot of ways. Because I think we all here love the ceiling of Anthony Richardson. We love the tools, had a great pro day, is really rising late in this process. But again, you would be kicking the can down the road and saying 2023 is not our year. We're going to be looking at 2024 and beyond, right? That's what you would be doing. And that's okay, but, you've got a roster in a lot of other places that's ready to go. And so can you afford to do that? It's not a great spot that Harbaugh and DeCosta find themselves in, and they have to navigate this almost perfectly to be able to set themselves up for success. Again, I've been on record in the past saying that I thought, listen, I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. I said before last season that I thought Lamar Jackson was going to sign a contract extension, and this wasn't going to get to this point. So we are past the point I thought we would be. And I at every turn have gotten this wrong. I thought Lamar would have already signed a contract extension. I was never expecting the trade. Sean says, is there any chance the Ravens trade Lamar and just blow it up? It's possible. It's certainly a possibility that they could trade Lamar and decide to do that. But I will say, they signed Marcus Williams to a big deal. They've spent money in recent years on players. They just made a big contract offer to OBJ, reportedly. Do you think they made that contract offer with the idea that they are not trying to compete in 2023? Right? That's just look at what they've done. Look at what we know from them this offseason. Doesn't sound like a group that's interested in blowing things up. Braden says opposing teams will only trade 2024-25 picks for sure if they do this right. Yeah. That's going to be the interesting thing. Anybody could be in there and be interested after the 2023 draft. Hello to the Locked On Dolphins YouTube channel that is in here saying, "Hey, Big Head, appreciate you making us a part of the show." Roquan Smith's another great example, Braden. Another great example of a player who they brought in and gave a big-time contract to. Again, does that track with what you were saying, Sean? I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying you're asking if there's a chance. Look at the moves to the contrary, right? And now Roquan happened before all of this with Lamar, but they did pay Roquan. They've paid Marcus Williams in free agency. They made an offer to Odell Beckham Jr. These are all things that they're doing. Does that track with the idea of a team that's going to blow things up? Sportsnut says, trade for Richardson, trade Lamar to recoup the future picks they gave away. Sign Cam Newton a bridge. I don't know if Cam Newton can be a bridge quarterback at this point. I don't know how much he could possibly give you. I don't hate the idea of trading up for Richardson, but I don't necessarily think that Cam Newton should be that bridge. You could sign Teddy Bridgewater to be a bridge. He's kind of done that in the past. And I think he could give you more than Cam can. Sports Nuts, the Locked On Dolphins YouTube channel. That's who that is. Don't have to say, you don't have to, reveal anyone's identity here on the show. Please. But that's where the Baltimore Ravens find themselves right now. They are in a precarious situation, and you saw it play out with the PR team stepping in and saying, stop asking questions about Lamar. Basically saying, we don't got answers for you here, people. We don't know what's going to happen. Stop asking. And it was a very for a team that is so well run, from a team that is, with when Ozzie Newsome was in charge, a well run front office, a well run organization. They are going through it right now. They are dealing with a very, very interesting timeline, and they are fighting through it. Hashtag Bridgewater to Bridge. Yeah, let's make it a thing here on the show. Hashtag Bridgewater to Bridge for the Baltimore Ravens if they choose to move on from Lamar Jackson. We will then move on to the other team that is making news and is the topic of today's show, and that is the Arizona Cardinals. And no, we are not talking about how they are going to have new jerseys for next season. That is not what we are talking about. We are discussing the allegations made by a former member of the front office, Terry McDonough, against the team that claims, just one of the claims, about there being a burner phone that was offered to Terry McDonough to communicate with, at the time, suspended Steve Keim, general manager, after his DUI back a couple of years ago. So Steve Keim gets a DUI. The team suspends him for a period of time. And what is being alleged by Terry McDonough is Michael Bidwell, the owner of the team, offered to give him a burner phone in order to communicate with Michael Bidwell. And obviously, these are massive allegations. Now, these are not just the only allegations, but this arbitration demand that was filed by Terry McDonough alleges that Michael Bidwell demoted him after, and I have a story from The Athletic up here that has some of the details, after McDonough objected to a scheme that would circumvent the suspension of then general manager Steve Keim. So McDonough was provided a burner phone to communicate with Keim while the general manager was banned from contact with the team during a 5-week DUI suspension in 2018. That is according to The Athletic, who says that they have a copy of the arbitration demand. So these are the allegations that have been made by Executive Terry McDonough against the Arizona Cardinals. And I will tell you, somebody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember being here at the time. I was doing local sports radio at the time. But this was back in 2018. This was, 5 years ago, so my memory is a little hazy here. But I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that this suspension, this 5-week suspension that was handed down by Michael Bidwell. That he was the one that made the determination to suspend him for 5 weeks. I don't believe it was a league handed out suspension. I believe the punishment was doled out by Michael Bidwell. So he picked 5 weeks, and then, at least according to Terry McDonough, said, hey, he gave me a burner phone to communicate with Steve to have that conversation. So, that's just one of the claims. There are other claims apparently in there. And again, this is a market. This is a city that is going through it in a lot of ways. They just had their basketball team, basically a forced sale of their basketball team because of misconduct at the highest levels from their ownership, from Robert Sarver, the Phoenix Suns. They have their hockey team that just sued the city of Phoenix this week about a new arena deal. That organization has been through multiple ownership changes. And now you have another example here of poor ownership. And I believe there are, allegations that there's stuff that goes beyond just this burner phone that Michael Bidwell oversaw. And I believe there was a quote out there that stuff similar to what Robert Sarver was accused of in terms of just dysfunction, mismanagement, misconduct at the highest levels. And so you have, and again, this happened in 2018, this burner phone thing. It's now part of an arbitration demand that Terry McDonough has filed, saying that Bidwell demoted him in 2019 after he objected to this scheme. And so, again, this is a city that's got a lot going on right now. They've got a basketball team that just got sold. That process is done. They've moved on, and a lot of fans feel better for it because of the misconduct that was alleged and proven in some ways. I mean, Robert Sarver was suspended for a year. Because of his misconduct. Braden says reading Steve Wilkes has a lawsuit against the Cardinals for stuff around this time too. That vaguely sounds familiar. I don't remember the specifics, but that vaguely sounds familiar as well. And so again, they just had this stuff go on with the Suns. Their hockey team, the Arizona Coyotes, is suing the city of Phoenix over their arena deal that they're trying to organize with the city of Tempe. And now you've got this. Sportsnet said, didn't Arizona fail and look bad on that other report a while back, how the players were having to buy their own food and wasn't provided at the cafeteria? It's a great point, Sportsnet. The NFLPA report card had Arizona towards the bottom, if not the bottom, of the teams in that regard, and did say things like they had to buy their own food. It was not provided in the cafeteria, right? During the offseason, meals were not provided. So this is just, we add this to the list of things that have gone wrong for a team that is in a state of transitions, in a state of flux, right? New GM, new coach. But the problem, and we talk about this all the time in sports, things don't change specifically. We talk about this in football too. This is things don't change if ownership is bad, right? And the NFLPA report card, that's indicative of ownership. The allegations in this story at The Athletic, in this arbitration filing, indictment on ownership, reflects bad on ownership. Is Wilkes in the Flores lawsuit? He might be. I don't remember the specifics, but he might be. He might be a part of that. But, that's where this is at for the Arizona Cardinals. They just constantly show that they're a poorly run team, that they're a poorly run organization. And the problem with this is you have to compare it to the team we were just talking about. Baltimore's normally well run, and they've got this stuff. But, that is just like PR stuff. That's not like misconduct that you see being rumbled around with Arizona. The quote that I seen was gross misconduct per reports. Gross misconduct. Cheating, discrimination, and harassment. Now, Bidwell has said that the claims are baseless, and this will get played out. Sportsnet says, and a small, high-priced hurt quarterback that would rather play COD. Well, there's the on-the-field stuff as well, that they don't have a very good roster. So you have stuff going on in the front office, allegedly. You've got not a great product on the field. But don't worry, they got new jerseys coming at the end of the month that they're going to reveal ahead of the NFL draft. And so the only thing I can see, but the only thing I can't forecast where this is going to go, right? The allegations have been filed in an arbitration hearing. Maybe we'll learn more. Maybe more stuff will leak. But as it sits right now, we have the allegations from Terry McDonough that he was punished. And that's where it's at. But it's not a good look. It's not a good look for a team that, again, like Sportsnet said, hasn't looked good in players' eyes as it is with the NFLPA report card. But now you're alleging cheating. You're alleging harassment. You're alleging misconduct. And if you not only just have the stuff on the field, but you have stuff that's going on, in the front office from a misconduct perspective. Sportsnet brings up another great point. You had the leak of the study clause in the contract for Kyler. This has not been a good year plus for the Cardinals in terms of the way that they look to the general population. And so this process is going to play out. We will probably learn more about what these allegations are. We'll more than likely hear a response from Michael Bidwell. He says they're baseless. The claims have no merit, that kind of stuff. But this process is going to have to play out. But for a team that is, to me, at an inflection point in a lot of ways, and in a city, right? This is where my expertise in this regard, I will stand up here and say this city has had scandal after scandal after scandal over the last couple of years. And they've got a franchise that is mismanaged to the point where they have new owners every couple of years, and they can't get an arena deal in hockey. That they've got a lot going on. Their football team was their collegiate football team, the Arizona State Sun Devils, recently investigated by the NCAA. You've got stuff everywhere in this city, in this state, going on over the last couple of years. You just add this to the list. Their roster is a mess, Tuttle. Yes. We barely touched on the field product that is a disaster. So Monty Allisonfort's got his work cut out for him because he's going to get asked these questions at press conferences. These things are going to come up. Now, he'll be able to deflect and he'll be able to say, I'm not allowed to comment, and he'll do what he's got to do. But this isn't going to just go away. This isn't just going to hide, in a closet forever. This stuff is already starting to leak. It's already starting to come out. And the arbitration process is going to play out. But again, just add this to the list of things that have not looked good for the Arizona Cardinals. So That's it. That's all I got for you here on these two franchises. Not a great look for either team as they enter draft month. We are just a couple of weeks away, 20 days or so away from the NFL draft. And again, I don't think these stories for either team, the Lamar story for Baltimore, the front office stuff, the misconduct from the Cardinals side of things, this stuff's not going away anytime soon. So we're going to learn more as the spring progresses and as we turn the calendar into summer. So appreciate everybody listening to the show in the podcast feed. Please rate, review, subscribe, follow along. If you have the opportunity, come hang out with us on the YouTube feed, because I say this all the time now, but after the show gets done here, after I press the button that says stop recording on the podcast version, we hang out on the YouTube feed, the video version, where we hang out, we talk a little bit more about this stuff, we answer off-the-wall questions. We're talking about probably the Masters today in the post-show, so we got a lot of stuff that we do in the post-show that is a lot of fun. So if you have the opportunity to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time each and every day on the Draft Network YouTube channel, we go and hang out over there, and we have a great time putting together this show. So appreciate everybody making this show a part of your day. I will talk to you all tomorrow. We in the post-show hype. Sportsnut, if you're a free agent, why would you want to go there now? Yeah, I mean, the report card, I mean, take the Terry McDonough stuff, this Terry McDonough allegations out of it, right? That report card would be enough for me to be like, I like Arizona. I love living here, right? I love it. Love the golf scene. Love the weather. I love the hiking. Like, I love everything about being here. Everything about it. But would you want to play in this city with that kind of report card? I don't know if I would. Not sure that I would. Sorry, I have to send a text message here. How's Tiger doing? Is he bogeyed yet? Uh-oh. Yeah, he did. He bogeyed either 3 or 4. We got a big group at the top. Xander Schauffele, Victor Hovland, they're both in the same group. Got Adam Scott at 2 under, Cameron Young at 2 under. It's a great start. Great start for those guys. You guys know the drill. Pre-show, or post-show questions, post-show things you want to talk about, and file them in here, and we will. I don't know if I'll do the full half hour because obviously you can hear the voice, but we'll do. Braden, I did see your post. You got a buddy at the Masters, man. It's a bucket list thing for me, man. It is a bucket list thing for me to be able to walk that course and see that event. It is a bucket list thing for me for sure. Probably going to take a sip of water here since I didn't do that for the entirety of the show. The new prospects and props tomorrow, by the way. It'll just be me, but I'll be focusing on the odds at number 3. And again, I don't know how long of a show it'll be. I'll go as long as my voice will give me in that regard. But I appreciate everybody hanging out. Appreciate everybody be joining me. This has been a lot of fun, and I love to see new faces pop in here, new faces join and be a part of the conversation. Yes, golf. I know it's a sport that you wouldn't be able to play well, but yes, it's a good sport. How far do you think the Cardinals are willing to trade down? Do they value more future picks or still being able to get a Will Anderson type? Sports Nut's a great question. I don't have a Sean. They do. Well, they don't take your phone. You're just, if they find you with your phone out, they'll remove you from the course. Sports Nut's a great question, and I don't have an answer that I'm like super firm about because I don't know Monty's philosophy. Right? Does he view this roster and say that it needs that it needs a massive overhaul? That we're not really ready to compete in 2023. We're going to have our quarterback on the sideline at 2024, maybe, but like we need all the picks we can get. And so he'll take the opportunity to trade down and get more picks and go for guys at multiple different positions. I mean, that would be what I would do. That's how I feel the roster is. Will Anderson's a great player, and I think Will Anderson would make an impact. And edge is a major need for them. They need pass rush. They do not have it. They barely had it when JJ was here, so they need it. But I would value quantity with where they're at. That would be what I would do. I would be willing to trade down as far as I could while also retaining a pretty good pick. I would still want to pick inside the top 12 for sure. I think people have forgotten Baltimore was lukewarm on Lamar Jackson's contract years ago, and some of their concerns about playoff performance have come to fruition. Yeah, I mean, they offered him before the season, reportedly, a $230 million contract. I mean, that's so if that report's to be believed, they believed him enough to give him $230 million with what I think it was like 130 guaranteed. So they believed in him to that level. And the 12 weeks that he played before he got hurt, he was playing very, very well. Has there been any local rumblings about the Cardinals draft regarding trading down to fix the roster or take blue chip? Yeah, it's a mixed bag right now. Phoenix at least has the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I've been once. I was working. I was doing local radio at the time, and we did the. Think about this. I did 3 hours of local sports talk radio from the Phoenix Open. Like from an area that was in between two holes, we did the show. Like a walkway, like a gallery. It was absurd what you saw. It is a great time. If you like golf and you love a good outdoor party, the Phoenix Open's for you. Do you know how some Cardinals fans feel about the draft plan down there? Yeah, Braden. I mean, the people that I've talked to are, it's funny. I have a group of friends that I hang out with pretty regularly. We play golf together, and they know me as the draft guy, so they'll ask me what I think they should do. But they're on board with the idea of trading down. They're on board with the idea of they're in a great position to maximize, because they've already got the quarterback, to maximize their return on that pick. They could trade down to 11 if Tennessee's interested. Justin Mello of the Draft Network floated an idea to me yesterday in our staff meeting where he was like, "Do you think the Cardinals would go for like Jeffrey Simmons and like a pick swap?" And I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." So swap 3 and 11, and then instead of getting more picks, you get Jeffrey Simmons to be on the interior. I didn't hate it. I thought it was a unique and interesting approach to making a trade. It's an impact player. You still get to pick in the first round. Yeah, you don't get a ton more. But with any of those picks, aren't you kind of looking for a Jeffrey Simmons type anyway? So it's an interesting wrinkle. You think Arizona will want to try to part with Kyler under the new regime after next year? It would be a very tough thing to do, and here's why. We actually had this conversation on the film study last night, because I think it was Bailey was asking me about moving on. So I'm going to pull up the contract here. Check the Masters leaderboard, see if anyone got 3 under. Oh, my guy, Sergio Garcia, 2 under, top of the leaderboard. Kyler Murray, let me click on his contract here. If they were to trade him, so Sportsnut, if they were to trade him next year, so let's say he comes back and plays like 3 games or 4 games at the end of the year, whatever number it is, right? That doesn't really matter for the sake of this argument, but I don't expect him to play a ton, if at all. So let's say he plays a couple games. So he plays 2023. Going into 2024, on March 22nd, so that would probably be a week into the league year, based on the numbers that we have from this year, where it was like March 15th. A week into the league year, his 2025 salary and roster bonus is guaranteed, okay? So anything that they would do, for them to not be on the hook for it, they would have to trade him before then, correct? Because they don't want to be that roster bonus to be fully guaranteed. If they were to trade him pre-June 1, 2024, it's $46.2 million in dead money. I don't see Michael Bidwell eating that cash. I just don't see it. I do not see that happening. Now, they say $5.6 million in cap space, but I just don't see $46.2 million in dead money being eaten by an organization. Has there ever been an example of a team eating that kind of cash for a player? Let me look. There's only 4 teams that have total dead money that eclipse that. The Panthers, Rams, Eagles, and Bucks. I mean, the Panthers for just this year have 14.6 in dead money for DJ Moore and 18.3 for Christian McCaffrey, and that's egregious. You're telling me a team's going to add $46 million in dead money to their team? The Cardinals have $11 million in dead money for this year, by the way. What happens to Hopkins, trade or cut? It's a great question. If you're trading for him, you're only trading for $19.45, $19.5 million in cash, right? That's what you're paying him. You don't have the bonus. None of it's guaranteed. So you're trading for a 2-year contract. You're You trade for a 2-year contract that you got to pay him 19.4 this year in cash and 14.9 the year after that. 19.4 would be the 15th highest yearly number in the National Football League. So they could trade him. I don't think it's like out of the realm of possibility, but don't you think they would have traded him by now? Don't you think there would have been a team that would have met at least close to asking price for him? So he might just be a cut candidate, but the cut's a problem. They cut him post June 1. It's $10.5 million in dead cap and $19.4 million in cap savings. Dude, Carolina's got. Let's look at it. Let's look at the Bucks. The Bucks have $75 million in dead cap. What's the cause of that? Okay. Here you go, folks. Here you go. The Bucks have $75 million in dead cap this year, or dead money. Excuse me, not dead cap, dead money. 35.1 of it is Tom Brady. 35.1, Tom Brady. Kyler would be 46. Kyler would be $11 million more. It's absurd. That is absurd. But all right, what else we got here, guys? What else do you have? You know, that dead money is, they got to allocate that. So they got to allocate $46 million of their cap. I know the cap's going to go up, but not by that much. All that dead money for time to play on a beach. It's true, Braden, but they did win a Super Bowl, so I think they'll be okay. I think they'll take it. I think they'll take it. I need Tiger to find something here. The championship tax versus the Cardinal tax. 46, but that's why I'm skeptical of them moving on. I really am. I'm really skeptical. I'm extremely skeptical. That's just a big bill to pay. How are the Mets going to do this year? Sportsnut? It's not a great start to the year. They got a bunch of guys hurt. They hit well yesterday, but they haven't been hitting well. They don't play today. Their home opener got postponed due to forecasted rain yesterday, so they're playing tomorrow. They're going to go as far as they're going to go as far as the pitching staff takes them. They're going to go as far as Verlander and Scherzer and Jose Quintana when he's back, and Kodai Senga, who looked really good in his first start as a rookie. They're going to go as far as that group takes them. Need your prediction right now. Who goes higher, Nolan Smith or Lucas Van Ness? Lucas Van Ness goes higher. Lucas Van Ness goes higher than Nolan Smith. I will go on the record there for you. But yeah, I mean, they're 3-4 to start the year. Sportsnut, they've been having trouble hitting the ball, but the pitching's going to take them. Braden, how are the Royals doing? How are hashtag our Royals doing? How long is Verlander going to be out? He's going to be reevaluated, I think, like this week or next week. So he might be able to rejoin the. He's been throwing the whole time though, so it hasn't been a case where he hasn't been ramping up. Like he's still been throwing. They haven't shut him down. So how are hashtag our Royals doing? I will be honest, Braden. I have not gotten a chance to watch them a ton. We're 1-5 to start the year. Okay, not great. How far does Miles Murphy fall? All right, hold on. Pull up Tankathon here so I can see the order. Pitching's been good though, Braden. Okay, that's encouraging. I mean, they got Bobby Witt. I know it's asking a lot for one guy, but they should be. They'll figure it out. 6 games into the season. Don't overreact too much to the early start. They played 162 of them for a reason. I mean, Jackie Bradley Jr. is just going to give you great defense. I don't know what kind of bat he's going to give you, but you got Bobby Witt. Dozier's fine. You're a young team. It's a young squad. Could Green Bay's David Bakhtiari's career be in jeopardy? His knees have basically been injured for 2 full years now. Could be. They just restructured his deal a couple weeks ago. They did a basic restructure, so I think they expect him to play this year. Sorry, Sportsnet. You asked about Miles Murphy. I did not see the Bobby Witt catch from Tuesday, Braden. I'll have to go and see it. Okay. All right. Oh, this is tough. Here. Let me pull up something else here just to see. I got the order up. I got to see the TDN 100, just so I can make sure that I don't miss a guy in doing this. By the way, he's like our 8th rated player on the TDN 100. Okay, who's going to need an edge player? Houston could use an edge player. Arizona could use an edge player. Sportsnet, I've given up trying to figure out when that Rodgers trade is going to go through. Sean, it's great, man. The pace of play is so much better. These games are done in like 2.5 hours at the longest. It's been a great start to the year. Houston needs a pass rusher. Arizona needs a pass rusher. Vegas could probably use a pass rusher. Atlanta could use a pass rusher. Chicago could use a pass rusher. Philly could use a pass rusher. Houston could use a pass rusher at 12 if they don't take one at 2. How far does Miles Murphy fall? He could get into the 20s. Sportsnut. He could get in there. I think he goes in the first round. I do. But he could sneak into the 20s. It feels like a very Baltimore pick, to be honest with you. He just gets there to 22, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll take him. You also need to see what the Royals are doing with Vinny Pasquantino, Chris. Okay, hold on. I'm going to do a quick Google search to see what they're doing with Vinny. They have a Sasquatch that roams the stadium every time he bats. Is that what you're referencing, Braden? That they have a Sasquatch that roams the stadium? Because that's amazing. That's amazing. Milwaukee, the Brewers have the guy gets a home run, they put a cheese head on him. The Reds put the Viking cape and the Viking cap. Baseball. It's great. We're having a great time. We are having a great time. If the Jets keep their first, are you wanting O-line only? It's a great question, Tuttle. I don't think so. I don't want to lock into a specific position. I think 13's a really tough spot. Because I think if there are 2 tackles that could go pretty early in front of them that would make me be hesitant to take a tackle. So it's tough. I think 13's a really tough spot. If Paris Johnson's there, it's no brainer. But if he's not, it's tough. It's tough. I would want them to trade back, but it's not what they do. There's not a recent example of them doing that. Joe Douglas stays where he's at normally, or he trades up. He traded up for Elijah Vera Tucker. He traded up for Jermaine Johnson. He traded up for Breece Hall. Early on, he doesn't trade back. So I'd love him to trade down because I think there'd be more value if he traded down. I just don't know if he will. But we'll see. I mean, they got to get this. And Tuttle, just to make it clear, they're keeping their first. They're not. It's not going in the Rodgers trade. That's not happening. He's going to be traded for less than that. Wish Houston would trade to 1 like Chicago did for Mitch. Chicago didn't trade to 1 Sports. So they traded from 3 to 2. They moved up 1 spot. It was the Solomon Thomas trade. I remember it very vividly because I made a mistake from the live show that we were doing at the time because I saw a report that Solomon Thomas was actually the pick instead of Mitchell Trubisky, and I went with it, and it was bad. If Jamie was here, he would tell you the story because he was the one that was supposed to tell me the picks, and I quick snapped him. Wish Houston would trade to one like. Wish Houston would trade to one like Chicago. Why does Houston need to trade, Sportsnut? Stay where they're at. If you don't get your guy, you don't get your guy. It's over now. Carolina beat you to it. They traded up. And if you want the same guy as Carolina, you're not going to be able to get in front of them now anyway. So, I'm saying Houston should move up one spot if they really like Bryce and not Stroud. But what if Carolina likes Bryce? If Bryce is Carolina's guy, they can't move up. That's what I'm saying. They're stuck. We got Tiger going the wrong way, by the way. He's 2 over through 5, so it's not going very well. All right, we'll make this the last call here, so I can go blow my nose and get some more water before the TDN staff meeting. But last call for any questions that you got. Sportsnet, you're 100% accurate. If Stroud is Carolina's guy, then yes, you can make the trade. But Carolina's not going to trade the pick if they have any level of concern that their guy might get taken by Houston. Do I have any bets on the Masters? I do not. No bets on the Masters. I have a couple baseball bets that there have been baseball bets that have gone out today. Basically every day of the season, but no Masters bets. Let the last couple questions file in. I know there's a delay for me on when the chat files in when you guys hear this, so I'll give it a couple seconds before I get out of here. But we'll do another one tomorrow, as long as my voice doesn't completely obliterate itself after doing this today. But we'll be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, hanging out and having these fun conversations, these fun live shows. And if there's things you want to see, topics you guys want to see discussed, or things that you think would make the show better, I would love the feedback. That's another big thing. So this is version 1.0 of what we hope this to become. So just give it a few more seconds here, because like I said, I know there's a delay. All right, guys. Greatly appreciate everybody hanging out. See everybody saying thanks and tell me to feel better. So we'll end it here. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Again, if you're a member of the TDN Premium Discord, happy hour tonight, 4 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 4 p.m. for me, but 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Happy hour. We hang out. We chat ball in the TDN Premium Discord. If you're not a TDN Premium Discord member, just head over to thedraftnetwork.com. You can sign up to be a TDN Premium Discord member. Lots of fun additional content that you get over there. So hope everybody has a great rest of their Thursday. Again, another prospects and props coming out tomorrow. This will hit the podcast feed a little bit later, so if you joined late and didn't get a chance to see the whole show, hear the whole show, or see the whole show, you'll be able to hear it a little bit later. So thanks everybody for hanging out. Appreciate all the questions, and I'll talk to everybody tomorrow.